What a gutsy win. The Warriors got Jimmy Butler back and he delivered a heroic effort to help lead a clutch game for a win. When Houston switched to a zone defense, it was Butler and Brandin Podziemski who took turns dissecting the rotations and breaking down the defense for high quality looks. I want to break down how they countered Houston's ultra big lineup in the zone defense, so let's get to it. Right off the bat, Houston decided to try a 1-3-1 zone with Sengun in the middle guarding nobody. The one good thing about the Warriors' small ball lineup is everyone's capable of playing 5 out, so when Butler gets the ball in the right corner, this forces a long closeout from the paint from Sengun. Houston miscommunicates here because Jalen Green thought Brooks was going to drop down to the corner and get the big man out, so 2 guys go to Buddy Hield. You beat the zone defense by getting the ball in the middle and knocking down threes, so Podziemski cuts to the open paint. Thompson rotates as the weak side low man, and VanVleet will not leave Steph Curry. Pods makes the right read to kick it out right away, and Draymond Green hits the first wide open 3. Golden State came out firing and forcing turnovers, so Houston had to switch back to man. You can see VanVleet starting on Green because Houston wanted the ability to switch Steph Dre pick and rolls. So when Sengun started on Podziemski, let's counter and get him high up on the perimeter in an on-ball pick and roll action anyways. This is the only Rocket on the floor that they will not switch. When Sengun coming up high to show, waiting for Thompson to recover back over the screen. Curry has gotten better in the series at keeping his dribble alive and pulling the defense further away from the screener, even dribbling on Sengun a couple times more when he is retreating. Pods is able to fade to the top of the arc, taking advantage of the long closeout by Sengun to knock another 3 down and stay in good rhythm. Houston had been killing the Warriors all series by playing Steven Adams and going ultra big. Adams provides paint protection, but most importantly, countered the Dubs' small lineups by grabbing every offensive rebound available. With Adams and Sengun as the 5 and the 4, the Rockets almost play a box and 1, where VanVleet has good memories to 2019 by solely focusing on Steph. With Butler getting the ball super high, Golden State has countered Steven Adams by putting the rookie stretch 5 Quinn post. With Steph getting face guarded, a natural counter is to have Curry set the screen, giving Post an opportunity to pop out to the 3-point line. Adams is not going to come out, so the Rockets realize this is a little too late and Post is able to get an open 3 off. Post had some solid offensive minutes in the first half. With a 2-3 zone here, Post attacks the closeout and uses his side to attract multiple defenders. You beat the zone by attacking rotations and moving into open space, so now look at Butler relocating to the right corner and Post flashing to the middle of the paint. Great pass here to the 7-footer right at the rim, where Post uses a shot fake to get a nice hook shot into the basket. The second half is where both Pods and Butler dissected the Rockets' big man by being super crisp with their passes and attacking closeouts. On this Warriors split action, the Rockets do not want a switch on Sengun, so Pods slips the screen early knowing that both VanVleet and Sengun will sell out on Steph. Nice bounce pass by Draymond to get through the defense, forcing the weak side rotation in Brooks. Podziemski makes a correct weak side corner kickout pass, and Brooks makes a defensive mishap by closing out and jumping at a non-shooter. Butler just is not going to shoot these, and now he can attack the closeout and get another rotation from Sengun. Podziemski is now left fully open and pops back out to the 3-point line, getting a kickout pass and an open 3. Adams comes back in, Houston starts off man. Butler has a mismatch in VanVleet, but Sengun comes over the shade and help, before eventually getting Fred out of there. Jimmy still likes his matchup and uses his classic shimmy jab move and attacks the baseline. With Adams rotating as the low man, Butler keeps it simple by kicking it out to the weak side, where Pods is able to attack the closeout like he always does. Shot fake and gets by Smith Jr., but another bad rotation by the Rockets as Adams leaves his shot blocking stance to try to guard a non-shooter in Jimmy Butler. Now Pods does not have to worry about rim protection and counters Smith Jr.'s sliding feet by turning over back to his right shoulder and making a tough midi and banks it. Huge shot by the sophomore. With the Rockets' ultra big lineup including Sengun and Adams, they go back to a box and 1 zone defense. Steph gets a step on Brooks and you can see Smith Jr. helping off one pass away in this zone defense off a non-shooter to shade. Payne counters by sinking lower to the corner, where a shot fake gets Smith Jr. to bite again. As much as Houston gets praised for their defense, these unnecessary contests against non-shooters gives the Warriors good chances to attack closeouts and force them into rotations. Payne dribbles into the middle of the floor, where he sees Butler holding onto VanVleet and giving Pods the opportunity to slide to the left wing. Way to move without the ball and Pods gets an open 3. Another way to counter the box-and-one zone defense is to set on-ball screens for Steph Curry. Because no one is guarding the screener, Curry is able to use picks and get a slight advantage. Smith Jr. again comes to shade and help one pass away, where Steph kicks it to the corner to Payton. As VanVleet is solely focused on Curry and Buddy Hield is on the weak side as a shooter, this opens the middle of the court for Jimmy to attack. Butler is so crafty because he has an open mid-range, but instead shot fakes to bait Steven Adams, and the second Adams tries to hand check him, Jimmy times his upward shooting motion at the perfect moment to draw an and one. Absolutely brilliant manipulation of the defense here. With Steph Curry off, Houston goes back to a traditional 2-3 zone with the ultra big lineup. Thompson needs to rotate to post since he is a shooter, and Payton cuts on the baseline to create better spacing. Post then runs a dribble handoff with Pods, and the problem with zone defense is often defenders are tilting one way and trying to force the offensive player into more help. Thompson's perfectly capable of guarding Pods straight up here, but instead tries to give him his right hand. Pods shot fakes to get him in the air and goes right anyways, but now Şengün is in a drop. The sidestep creates the perfect amount of space away from Thompson, and Podziemski is having himself a game. Another way to beat the zone defense is early offense. Podziemski drives to the paint to attract 3 Houston defenders, kick to the weak side corner, and this forces the defenders into rotations again. With GP2 not a shooter, Butler relocates to the right wing and is able to get a mismatch on Adams. Steven Adams is a rim protector and will predictably play a drop coverage on a non-shooter, but ironically, these are the moments that Jimmy Butler will shoot. Jimmy knows that even if he gets by Adams, the chances of his shot getting blocked are much higher than just getting in rhythm and launching an open 3. Here he trusts his shooting instead. Pods and Butler were playing with the Rockets' big lineup by simply moving the ball and attacking closeouts. The Rockets maintain a box-and-one, focusing primarily on Steph. Pods goes for a DHO with Houston's 2 big men, and they are both not accustomed to defending this type of action. Adams plays a deep drop on Draymond, and Jalen Green comes to help as well, and the Warriors' small ball lineup tries to create havoc by running into open space. Kick out to Butler on the right corner, which forces Şengün to drop down from the right wing and close out. Jalen Green is now deep in the paint, and another swing pass forces a super long closeout. Podziemski brilliantly attacks off the catch like he always does, and feels a hand in the cookie jar before going into upward shooting motion and getting the and one off this off-balance mid-range. Off a made basket, Golden State tries to get ahead of the zone defense by sprinting and again moving the ball. There's a 3-on-2 advantage on the weak side where Pods finds Green in the middle of the court. Thompson has the closeout on Buddy Hield since he is a shooter, and Steven Adams remains in his original position in the paint as a rim protector. The problem is, Şengün is still on the other end of the floor. Great look by Buddy to find an open Butler for an alley-oop layup. Houston had to take Adams out because Steve Kerr was playing a hack Adams. The Rockets go back to a smaller lineup and switching defense. On an inbounds play, Pods has the ball up top and Draymond comes to set a down screen. Because Houston is switching everything, one way to counter switching defenses is to have the screener slip or roll early. You can tell VanVleet is calling Thompson to switch, but Draymond slips it just in time to get an advantage. Solid pass by Pods in the paint, and now we have a 2-on-1. Houston screws this one up big time and Jimmy gets an uncontested layup to cut the lead. Last but not least, let's highlight a clinical defense the offense highlight. Podziemski does a great job sliding his feet and forces VanVleet to go ISO with the shot clock winding down. A hezzy tween gets by Pods, but the sophomore keeps his hand up and does not get foul baited, and instead blocks a shorter guard from behind for an amazing rejection. Draymond gets the rebound and Jimmy decides to attack Brooks at the half-court line. Smith Jr. does a poor job cutting him off before it is too late, allowing Butler to get right to the rim and uses his strength and overpower the taller but slimmer big man for a contested layup. What a finish to this game. There you guys have it. What an incredibly gutsy game that started out with multiple arguments, back and forth reviews, and replays that dragged the game out. Golden State got their Robin back in Jimmy Butler, and with the help of sophomore Brandin Podziemski, countered the Houston Rockets' main advantage, their size and zone defense. Butler and Pods dissected the aggressive defense by forcing Houston into comfortable rotations, moving without the ball, and attacking closeouts for high-quality looks. It was a high-risk, high-reward game plan in a matchup heavily dependent on size, but the duo used their basketball IQ to attack open space and take open shots. With the risk of allowing second chance opportunities, the Warriors did a good enough job getting stops when they needed them most, catching Houston's zone defense off guard and avoiding the trap of a slow half-court game. Golden State protected home court like they should, and now look to finish the series with a gentleman's sweep tomorrow in Houston. If you guys like this breakdown, like and subscribe to see more.